Okay, people, this is what my ears have to listen to all the time in my head. I'm so sensitive to this sound. When I go to sleep at night, do you hear that? When I go to sleep at night, this is anytime I lay down. Anytime I lay down, this is what I have to try and filter out in order to go to sleep. It's basically that sound. It fluctuates off and on, like in terms of tone. But basically, that's what it sounds like. And when I lay down, my head feels like it's being crushed, either in a vice grip or like somebody's stepping on it. I didn't have this problem until I started seeing eye doctors. When I started seeing eye doctors for this coma crap, and then Andre was taken and all the stress and everything, right? And then they brought in the smart meters and all that other crap. And then all of a sudden, I started hearing it slightly, and then it just got worse and worse. And that's pretty much what it's like for me all day long now. And when I lay down, doesn't matter where I lay down, the sound just intensifies. And I wake up with my ears screaming. It's much louder than that. But that's the tone, right? Where it's coming from and why, I don't know. I just know that when I started seeing the coma doctors and they were poking in my eyes and started giving me all these eye drops and all this other crap and all the stress with, losing Andre and my daughter, falling through the cracks and then Uncle John now and just the whole 9 yards, right? This is what I have to live with every day. Every day. And it makes me extremely tired now because it's been a couple of years, right? And it's not getting better. And the pressure in my head, right, when I lay down, because, like I say, it feels like, it's being squeezed with a vice grip or something like that, with this constant ringing in my ears. And then I wake up with it screaming, my ears are screaming, I have to deal with it all day long, it's very, 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 very exhausting. Okay, so this is for the clan, the one that's stuck in my channel, the one that didn't show up until John disappeared, right? Didn't have no problems until you people showed up and took John for his money. You didn't want him when he only had $1,500 a month and his wife bankrupted him, and he had to go bankrupt in 1995. Right? Because he couldn't pay the bills because he didn't have enough pension to cover the bills. Right? You had to wait until his income doubled and he couldn't walk anymore and he couldn't defend himself as he was being gang stalked by a bunch of foreign workers that were trying to protect their visas before they were trying to protect their client. Basically. Because all those people in that temporary care ward were foreign workers with visas. Because if you listen to the social worker by any means necessary video, they all had accents and none of them were born in Canada. So that kind of tells you something, doesn't it? Right? These places are just a sorting out bay, sorting through rubbish. Right? Pick the good stuff and throw out the rest that you don't want, right? That's how you professional nurses and healthcare workers treat people these days. Like the Scrooge with the old women coming in after he died, picking, or in his dream or whatever, picking through his stuff. He's laying in the bed there, dead, and they're picking and they're pulling down this and they're bagging up his stuff as he's laying there dead. Right, to take it back to go sell it to the rest of the merchants out there doing the same crap. Because society is corrupt. I don't know. It ain't gonna change anything, people. Nope, it's not going to change anything. This is just a little reminder that I was the one that looked after John's wife in the last years of her life, because nobody in Victoria wanted her. And she didn't want to end up in some long-term care home by herself, waiting for nobody to show up and visit her, including her adopted daughter. Because she wasn't visiting her very much, even when Joan was living in Victoria. And the Duncan clan sure in the hell weren't visiting her, because if they were visiting her, she wouldn't have moved over here. In those days I was healthy though, much more healthier. These days I'm not so healthy. As you can tell, that ringing in my ears is kind of wearing me down. But that's probably part of the game plan. That's why the healthcare system doesn't allow for the teeth to get done properly. That's why the healthcare system doesn't allow for the glasses to be prescribed properly. That's why the healthcare system, just gives you half of what you need, and the rest of it, well, to hell with it, right? Unless you can pay for it, right? And even when you can pay for it, like John, it's still taken away from you, so other people can manage it and destroy even more lives as they do it. Right? Leave us in limbo, right? With funky wiring. With no fire extinguishers and shit in the house. No means to replace them. Right? Because if you don't like it, you can move. The clan is probably choked that I'm still living in this house. Because when they first jumped on board with their little comments into my YouTube videos, it was like, well, you need to just, throw your kids out in the fucking road and downsize and go move in an apartment and give everything away and go get a job and forget about John because he never existed and he doesn't love you guys and he doesn't care about the kids and, all he misses is Joan, even though we took him over to Victoria sicker than a fucking dog for a visit. Oh, I hope these people get haunted for the rest of their lives, people. Like, they're hollow inside. They're hollow. They're just walking hollow shells of rotting flesh. Okay, people, that's where I'm at in the game here. As you can see, I'm working on it. Right. Those ones there, I'm going to have to get in touch with a lady that has worked with me on this nonprofit in terms of reactivating trust accounts. Right? Okay, people, just a quick little update. This is like day 2 hardcore. It's actually going into day 3. But I was doing this all day yesterday. I did a whole stack. Can you see? And I'm down to last little bit on these ledgers. This ledger's over here. I don't think I'm going to follow up on those ones. I actually have a double set of books. Simply because we do have this new board director. And I made this little book, hold on, for him. Remember I was telling you? As you can see, I'm kind of color coordinating it a bit. And then when you open it up, you'll be able to see. The blue is obviously trust accounts, right? You have to remember, people, the nonprofit at some point will become a registered charity. And then we have just general accounts. Right. And then, I've left it where he can do what he wants with this book. I'm just going to add little bits and pieces of information in there at the end of finishing up with the, the annual expense and income statement, right? And I'm doing 5 years. But I feel like, you know that movie, The Scrooge, and that accountant that's sitting with a candle in the dark, working all day, all night long, doing numbers, right? And you have to remember, I'm using dollar store glasses, and my eyes hurt, right? The lighting is poor. I'm stressed out. This one here, Social Security, this one is supposed to do with the physical aspect of the body, right? In terms of eye care, dental care, prescriptions, doctor care, that type of stuff, right? This is what this is supposed to help with people that can't afford to get these things in a timely manner. Unfortunately, I don't get to access some of this stuff myself. When I was doing this initially, I didn't feel like I needed the program. I just felt that the program would be important one day, although I don't agree that healthcare should be based on charity, right? But you have to remember, this stuff was starting to be written up by 2000, 2001, right? This one was one of the initial accounts that started to be open. This thing started with 2 and then it just branched out. And through my research, it was talking about how healthcare was leaning towards charity, right? And even though I didn't agree with it, I stayed with the form. And this trust account was opened for that fact, because even if you get general health care, it's a good thing to have access to a few other things that wouldn't necessarily be covered through a universal plan, right? Anyway, I'm going to upload this now.